Welcome to Life List, a birding podcast.
Hello, friends, birders, nature lovers, and Alvaro Jaramillo. How are you doing today, Al?
Hi, how's it going?
Good,
Very
man.
good, George.
Excellent. We're back here. Another episode of Life List, a birding podcast. It's October. The calendar switched over.
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest. Yeah.
October Fiesta.
Fiesta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know, Al, that October is Bat Appreciation Month?
Bat, as in baseball bat.
Well, it's funny you say that because it's also Christmas Seal Campaign Month, which is weird. When I saw that, I thought, wow, there's a Christmas seal out there. Like I was, and it's not that kind of seal. I was wrong.
No, Christmas seals. Yeah, it's this old charity called the Christmas Seals.
Yeah, I learned a little something there.
Yeah,
my nature nerdness carried me in the wrong direction, steered me wrong there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Isn't Christmas Island now called Kiribati, right?
Yeah.
So you would have to be like, it's the Kiribati seal month. The Christmas seal people.
Wow. It's like,
how could they not know our organization?
They have a monk seal out there? They must seem like they don't have a monk seal out there, you know?
Yeah, monk seal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seal. So, okay.
Maybe it's
Bat Appreciation Day. And then the Christmas seal. Not day, month. Okay, what's next?
Yeah, so I got a bunch here because I saw this and I started digging in. First of all, I think real pertinent to us and our listeners is that it is National Go on a Field Trip Month. October is.
Wow.
Yeah.
National Go on a Field Trip Month.
Yeah. Not only that, and this is one I didn't see coming, it's National Pet CBD Month. Also perhaps pertinent to our listeners. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I feel like it probably is. I feel like it probably is for a certain segment.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. You get your goldfish all high on stuff.
Yeah,
maybe not goldfish.
Your emotional support alligators, you know.
Yeah, that does happen, you know.
Yeah, it does. We've seen
sometimes they need support too.
It's true. People need to think about that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, perhaps appropriately, it is also Halloween Safety Month. I thought October was a good time for that one, you know.
Yeah. Well, if you want to plan, though, it should have been in September.
Yeah, that's true, probably, huh? You do have the whole month, though, to lead up. That's the nice thing. Maybe it's it's also Mischief Night month. So, I feel like those two things may not really dovetail.
You know that where I live in Half Moon Bay is kind of a Halloween place. Like, we're known for big wave surfing, obviously awesome birding and pelagics, but pumpkins. People come out here to get pumpkins, where it's like a thing. And we have the Half Moon Bay Pumpkin Festival, which is huge. And then Halloween is big, and the high school's colors are black and orange.
Oh, I like the black and orange. The Philadelphia Flyers are black and orange. Yeah. It's a good kind.
The who? The what?
The Philadelphia Flyers.
Is that curling?
Yeah. No, you're a hockey fan. I know you're a hockey fan now. Don't pretend like you don't know.
I'm just trying to downgrade your Flyers.
Yeah, well, it's not hard to do that. They've been downgrading themselves for a solid decade now. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's crazy. I didn't realize that you guys were like the pumpkin capital of the world out there.
Yeah, it's at least one of them. Yeah. There's probably others. You know, each region must have one.
You know what's coming up in Cape May this month is the Lima Bean Festival. The Lima Bean Festival. Let me tell you, those people know how to party.
Oh man, yeah. I could see the big stand for that Beano company, you know, like minimize your gas with our product. Um, why is it Lima? Wait, it's not Lima, Peru. Come on,
Lima, Peru.
Is it Lima beans?
Yeah, that I don't know. That we'll have to rely on the listeners to edify us on the origins there. I don't know. There's a couple other months here. A couple other awareness month things for October. I feel like I gotta share here. Just quickly. One is that there's a lot of food stuff going on. It's National Caramel Month, Chili Month, National Chili Month, National Cookie Month, National Dessert Month, National Pasta. It's Pickles and Peppers. It's Pizza. It's Poppin' Popcorn Month. It's Pork, Pretzels, Sausage, Seafood, Pear and Pineapple, Rhizomes and Persimmons, Rhubarb.
Rhizomes?
Yeah, Rhizomes and Persimmons Month. Who knew? It's Rhubarb Month, and it's Spinach Lovers Month. So not really Spinach Month, but Spinach Lovers Month, which I think is nice. And then it is Vegetarian Month as well for all of our vegetarian friends. In addition to that, there's a lot of food stuff, right?
Tomato Pie Month?
Yeah. It is not that. I mean, it should be. It is Toilet Tank Repair Month. It's Toilet Tank Repair Month. So they keep that.
Tank Repair Month.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What is a toilet tank? I guess, is that like
not sure.
Like, what is toilet tank?
I mean, I'm assuming it's not.
It just flows to the ocean, as far as I know.
Yeah. It seems like you've spent a lot of time thinking about that.
Yeah.
Well, Alvaro, perhaps most important from your perspective is that it is National Sarcastic Awareness Month as well. Yeah.
Sarcastic awareness.
Yeah. I don't know if that means like you should be aware of your sarcasm or if you should be like celebrating your sarcasm. I'm not sure which it is.
I think that finding the National Sarcasm Awareness Month Facebook page would be fun. A fun read. All the people in there would be like
Yeah, I like that. I think we can get that one going along with my Anti-Sesquipedalian Society Facebook page going as well. I feel like those two might really go together. There might be a good amount of overlap in those audiences.
Exactly. They
sarcasm. Sarcasm. Also, a couple last ones because I don't want to belabor this.
I do want to say though that people who don't get sarcasm, there's no way you can make them aware of it because they just don't get it.
Yeah.
So there's this is like an in club of people. They're preaching to the choir. Probably these people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We certainly have friends we've talked about who like the sarcasm thing just kind of flies over their heads, and then we end up just feeling like miserable, terrible human beings afterwards for our
right. Why are you so mean?
Yeah,
those are jokes.
Why are you such a jerk all the time? Yeah,
they're called jokes.
Yeah, I know.
Well, they're not funny. Well, that's beside the point.
I was going to say they're correct about that a fair amount of yeah. Well, it is also Raptor Month, which I think is a good one, right? It's
Toronto Raptors.
I don't think that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do the digging on that one, but I don't think that's what it is. And it is Photographer Appreciation Month. So I think this is a good time for everybody to reach out to their favorite photographers and be like, you know what? I appreciate you. Like what you do, like your artwork. I'm reaching out to say, I appreciate you, photographer. I think that would be a solid move. Also, this one, my dad doesn't even know this yet. I cannot wait to tell him. It is Squirrel Awareness Month. No lie.
Wow.
Yeah. And on the website, it takes care to say this is different than Squirrel Appreciation Day, which is in January. This is Squirrel Awareness Month. So October's a big month. It's a big month, man.
There's a lot of stuff to be aware about.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of exhausting, frankly.
Yeah. No, there's some good ones there. Raptors. I wonder, some of these things are new to me. Like, you think I would know about Raptor Appreciation Month?
Mm-hmm. Certainly would have thought you'd know about Sarcastic Awareness Month.
Maybe I do.
Yeah.
It's like, so they're not being marketed all that well, some of these months, appreciation months, right? You think that every single one of the hawk watches would be like, hey, everybody, it's October. You know what it is. It's Raptor Appreciation Month. We're going to get those eagles coming over. And nobody knows about it. So I think I'm glad we've done our part to actually increase the visibility of some of these months, especially Toilet Tank Repair Month. For those of you who are thinking about this repair and have been putting it off for 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Might
Now's
be
your
the
moment.
month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is the time, people. Seize the day,
Yeah.
Seize the day. Carpe diem. Yeah. I do think when it comes to marketing though, Alvaro, I mean, we have to look ourselves in the mirror. I mean, it's go on a field trip month. How does the birding tour industry not celebrating this, much more wildly? I feel like this is, we're falling down on the job on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely true. It's funny though. I do, in my head, a field trip I feel is different than a birding tour. I would say a field trip is like a 1-day event, but obviously it's the same stuff. It's just how long you do it and how you do it. Yeah. We are essentially doing multiple field trips when we do a tour.
Yeah. Or just one real long one,
It's like a rave. It's just this nonstop party of field
Birding
trips.
Birding Man.
Birding Man. Yeah, Birding Man. If you had to hold Birding Man, or let's Birding Person, right? We're going to be.
I like that better. Yeah.
Birding Person. Where would you hold it?
That is a good question.
Because, they do Burning Man in the middle of the desert, and they clean everything up in theory and get out of there, and it's a nothing place. And then
I feel like one of those desert oasis, like birding hotspots, like that one north of Albuquerque or something, or outside of Vegas, or I don't know. To me, it feels like there should be a little bit of a desert vibe for Birding Person, but not sure.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you could just go into a flat cornfield in the middle of Iowa where there's nothing, and just take it over, and not necessarily go birding, but talk about birds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And enjoy birds and birding culture.
Not be distracted by birds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually sounds kind of like Bird Fair, right? They sort of chose the least birdie month.
Yeah.
When is nobody birding? Oh, well, early August. All right, let's have it then.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
The new bird fair is in July, right? Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it's right around 20 July. It's like that third week in July sometime. Yeah.
But it's a good concept, right? It's North American bird festivals have been all about the field trips and let's go out and see things. And Bird Fair was always about the event. And we don't really have field trips. You come here and talk to everybody who's doing stuff, and you listen to the talks, or you chat with providers of tours or sellers of optics, all that. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think we do need, maybe we put it all together. Birding Person is also like a bird fair,
less about US, the birds, Canada. More about the birders.
Yeah.
Would be fun.
Face painting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, maybe some
rave tent.
Yeah, for sure. Well, at Bird Fair, I learned the hard way that there is a whiskey tent. There's like a booth where they can't sell it, so you sample whiskey. And man, I must say, came back to the booth a little looser than I went out. Yeah, that was.
Would you go in there with different glasses? So if they didn't know it was you, it's like, here's your sample. Hey, you look like that other guy. Here's your sample.
I went in with a guy who was like a partner, for the company I was running with, and we went in, and I remember we met the raptor expert, Dick Forsman, who's written on the raptors in the Middle East, and is a tremendous photographer.
European raptors,
he was there. That's the only time I met him. I suspect he probably does not remember me because, well, we tippled a couple whiskeys, me and him and another friend or two, and we, like I went in there, he was like, "Come on, George, let's go," and I was like, "All right, yeah, I don't really, this is my first time at Bird Fair, we'll see what's going on," and yeah, before you knew it. It was a little bit of a different experience walking out of the whiskey tent area than it was walking in. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah. And these, just backtrack, a lot of North Americans don't know some of these names. They're big names in Europe, people who've done, produced books and identification things that are huge and really kind of changed the entire world birding situation. Dick Forsman's one of them. And, maybe the earliest raptor ID specialist that really sort of was looking at things in a different way. And it's trickled down to North America in various ways from people who, know him or read all his stuff. But I find it interesting that some people are really huge, but the divide, between Europe and North America, sometimes folks here don't even know who these people are, and
and vice versa.
Major things. Yeah.
No, it's true.
Yep.
But that is one of the cool things about Bird Fair and Birding Person when we get it together, is that you get to meet some really interesting folks, people that know a ton about birds or just are really fascinating, interesting, fun people. So, it'd be good for folks to check out festivals coming up and maybe think about even organizing one of their own potentially.
Yeah. One of the really cool things about birding that maybe folks don't think about it too much is that some of the bigwigs in birding, people who, well-known names, are completely accessible. And in festivals, you can go and chat with the movers and shakers of your hobby. You can't do that in golf or, other, once somebody gets known, there's sort of there's almost like a fence around those people, who has access to them, who doesn't. And birding is still really, you can walk up to David Sibley, Ken Kaufman, the people who write the field guides, and just chat with them. And I think that's amazing. I wonder how long it'll stay that way as things grow. But hopefully it remains part of our culture.
Yeah, I agree. That's what, you grow up or you spend time birding and you hear names, right, of people that we've all learned from, and all of a sudden they're there in front of you, and it's like you can end up kind of gobsmacked. But that happens again and again in birding. So it is one of the cool things, the accessibility to everybody.
As a kid, meet Roger Torrey Peterson?
I did, yeah.
You did, yeah.
We met on the train to Churchill, Manitoba. I was really just into birding. I was literally a week or two into being okay, I'm a birder, and we drove to Thompson, and I'd been looking through the field guide, and I knew it was a Peterson field guide, and then we got on the train. I was like, oh my God, there he is, RTP himself.
That's pretty cool. Just that doesn't happen every day.
yeah, exactly. No, it's something I'll treasure an experience. Yeah. Well, Alvaro, I feel like you've been offshore a lot lately. I kind of know some of what you've seen, but I haven't actually heard you talk about it. What have you been seeing, man?
Well, so I've been out and about, doing trips out of Half Moon Bay last weekend and yesterday. That's why my voice is gravelly. Hey, hello, hey, because I've been screaming.
I figured it was a long night on the town, but
no, screaming, Skua, Skua. That's everybody. That's the thing that spotters love to scream at. It's the perfect word.
It is, yes.
And everybody knows what you're talking about. It's short. It's got a K sound, a little harsh, kind of.
It carries.
Right. You don't want to be screaming, Final Pepla. No, bad. It's
love to be screaming that around here.
Right. Choosing a dog name. You want short and sweet, quick. Skua. So yeah, I've been screaming out Skua a lot. We had, last weekend, I don't know where the arrival of things like the Scripps' merlet,
Oh, yeah.
a warm water critter. We had a shift, in terms of this being a cold water year into suddenly these warmer water things were showing up. But yesterday, man, like you go out and you think you have it somewhat sorted out, the patterns that occur, and there are some patterns like you see common murres here. They're quite common. And then as you head out, first shearwater of the day is sooty shearwater, and you maybe see a whole bunch of sooty shearwaters. You could be an hour of sooty shearwaters before you are out far enough that somebody screams out pink-footed shearwater. And then if you're super lucky, you go further out, and then you maybe buller shearwater shows up and so on. Yesterday, the pink-footed shearwaters outnumbered the sooty shearwaters, which seldom happens. And then they were right up against the coast almost. I mean, very early. First shearwaters of the day, pink-footed. And then it's like, why? What's going on? And then skuas were throughout the day yesterday. I mean, we haven't put together the eBird list, but oh God, maybe could be 10, 12 South Polar skuas we saw over the day.
Marauders.
And, yeah. And some of them really close to shore. In fact, this started last weekend, and I don't know if you keep, apart from your yard list, a 5-mile radius list, right? The sort of home patch list.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So 5-mile radius list, you can do this on eBird patch list or whatever. You can create different ones. And got South Polar Skua for my 5-mile radius. Woohoo!
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good one.
That's hot.
Yeah. So everything was kind of shifted yesterday. And again, I'm analyzing, sort of kind of working through my what's the word? Confusion, right? The waters had gotten cooler, right? So you would think, okay, so the water's gotten cooler. In my mind, we're out there, we're going out talking with the spotters, it's okay, water's cooler than it was last weekend. So a lot of things that maybe were here are gone. And then tuna start jumping out of the water.
Oh my God.
And we don't get tuna very much. I mean, I'm going to stop saying this next year, because by next year we will have tuna for 4 years in a row. So maybe we do get them now.
These albacore or the bluefins?
These are bluefin, which historically was not the tuna that ever showed up here. Albacore would show up. So suddenly we're like, oh, this is weird, and keep going a little bit. Storm petrels start showing up. And then, there's some birders up front said, we think we saw something weird. Like it might've been like a pterodroma petrel or something. And then suddenly I'm like, gosh, there's not much wind, nothing going on. It's very still.
That
10 minutes later
sets the spidey senses tingling. Yes. Pterodroma.
Yeah, I'm just looking around, and I see this bird coming in towards us, and I'm like looking at it. It's like going up and down. It's like, gosh, that looks like a pterodroma, but I've been fooled by buller shearwaters. And so I just sort of sat on it, waiting for it to get closer. That looks like and I then screamed out, Hawaiian petrel, coming in.
Man.
And it gave us enough time. It was far enough away still that it was coming in towards the boat, and we could describe it. And it did.
You could watch the whole
around the boat.
You could watch the whole approach.
Yeah. So everybody saw this thing. Amazing photographs. Unfortunately, I just got a new camera that I did not know how to use. So my photos are not, I was not set up, but my photos are not that good. But others did get some real good photos. So Hawaiian petrel flies around, and everybody gets great views. And that's a warm water species. And then I had petrel fever, which I will tell you about my petrel fever. This this big flock of birds is coming towards us. These whitish looking birds, like, I don't know, I want to say more than 40, maybe a little less than 100, a whole bunch of them coming in towards us. And I'm looking, and I thought, and we're all looking, are those Sabin's gulls? We had this, the only thing that kind of could make sense was Sabin's gulls. And then they turned sideways, and they're not Sabin's gulls. They're actually a tube nose. And in my mind, I immediately thought, this must be a flock of Cook's petrels, right? Just because I've heard of flocks, right? I've heard of these flocks all together and in calm water. And I had petrel fever, and I screamed out, I think they're petrels, and then Dorian Anderson comes over. It's like, you know what? I got photographs. I think they're actually buller shearwaters, which seemed like a downgrade at the time. But seeing that many buller shearwaters all together was actually a really super cool thing. But you just on a boat, when emotions are running high.
Yeah, no, it's difficult birding. It's always difficult birding out there. Yeah.
And it's just the excitement is going on, and Wilson Storm Petrel comes in the back, and then we're kind of coming off this high, and then somebody's like, "There's a passerine," little bird. Rarely do we do get them every so often. The little migrant land bird comes around and flying around the boat, and we're trying to figure it out. And I would say 1 out of 4 of these passerines that try to land on the boat are something rare or a vagrant. And sure enough, this was a Tennessee warbler that lands on our boat, and it's just like, wow. Oh my God, and more skuas and tons of Pomeranian Jaegers are flying through, flocks of Sabin's gulls, black storm petrels. It was just a day and a half, And then I thought about the fact that there are 2 good birds, Hawaiian petrel and Tennessee warbler. A, when do you see those 2 on a hour-long checklist? And B, they're both named for states. It's sort of a weird, like little, hey. So it was a good day, and people came back just sort of like, wow, and we'd had great days this year, but none of the sort of really top level days had been out of Half Moon Bay. And usually Half Moon Bay is the spot, we'd had great stuff out of Monterey. We had some great stuff out of Morro Bay. So it was great to get like a really solid day with rarity in Half Moon Bay, super day. Blue whales, humpback whales, Dall's porpoises, big mola, sunfish, huge.
Baby whale.
Yeah, baby whale. Yeah. It's a freaking baby whale. Take it to the museum. Or what was it? Take it to the aquarium. If you don't know what we're talking about, there's a video, folks, about.
Yeah. It got mentioned. You mentioned it in an episode a while back, and I mentioned that I'd not seen that video. Mm-hmm. And Doug Gotchfeld was like, George, like he was disappointed in me. Yeah, he was like, no, yeah, this is an injustice that must be.
You have to see this. Yeah, so it's sort of like not knowing what a rock hound is.
Exactly, it's that level of ignorance.
Level.
Yeah. Man.
So that was just a whirlwind. I'm still processing all that we saw.
It's a buzz, right?
And it was nonstop. There was maybe right at the end when we were coming back to port, we had a lull where people were just, people actually just fell asleep because they were like
exhausted. It's like,
yeah.
It's like too much to process.
Exactly. It was a good weather day. It wasn't like there were big waves or anything to deal with. It was just like so much stuff that had been seen. I heard of one person who took 4,000 images.
Wow. In that one day. That's nuts.
In that one day. And, but I got to say, for all I've tried to like really bolster this amazing day, I don't know if it nearly comes up to what you saw and did a few days ago.
Man. Yeah. It was a hell of a day. It really was.
You took over the internet, actually. It was like,
well, yeah, and not just me, but yeah, like it was really there was a group of 6 or 7 of us. I think Tom Johnson and I were the first to like we both screamed out when we saw this thing.
Set up the scene, though. People don't know what happened. Set up the scene, man.
So Kristen and I had a hotel credit to use down in Cape May, and I was like, like months ago, I was like, let's set up for like late November or late to September, and we'll just go down to Cape May, spend, we'll use that credit then in the middle of the week. We'll be ready for a little break. So we had 2 nights, and coming into it, I was like talking to Tom Johnson, who's a good bud, and a couple of friends. Whitney Lanfranco's down there. And I was like, there's a couple things I want to do on this visit. One is experience the nocturnal migration scene that people have been enjoying the last few years that I had never gotten to do before. And the other is hit like a good morning flight spot. And, for that, and actually for both, you need good migration. You need a special night of migration. You can go to the spots, but if the birds aren't moving, it's just not a whole lot going on. But we got lucky. And the night we arrived was a big migration night, a really big migration night. Yeah. And so we went out and we did the nocturnal thing, and it was great. There was like, I don't know, maybe 15 of us. And it was funny, like some of the folks that were there, I knew through social media, but had never actually met before. So that was really fun. Just like meeting people, seeing old friends. And for Kristen, it was really cool because, while she'd been interested in birds in her 20s and stuff, being a young mom, she kind of got away from it. And then once we got together, like kind of just pre-pandemic, she got into birding again. But she hadn't really been like immersed in a big birding scene. Like, hadn't been to a festival or anything. And so we've just been meeting birders here and there. I was like, this is going to be really different for you. You're going to see a lot of birders. It's going to be a lot of friends. It's going to be fun. It's going to be just as social as it will be birding. And so that was really cool. We went out at night, and like for me, the coolest thing in the nocturnal stuff is that these clapper rails are just like one after another, like bing, bing, bing. They're just going right over, and we're lighting them up, and it's just like
rail.
Yeah. Clapper rails. There was a lot of catbirds moving, and they look totally different when they're flying over at night than they do, when they actually have almost they look like juncos almost, which is totally weird. And then we had a couple thrashers. Right before we got there, we missed a few whippoorwills. They had like 3 whippoorwills go over. And it was just, that was awesome. But we, like Kristen had worked the night before, we were pretty spent. So we actually, we cut out, I think before midnight and crashed. Next morning, I was like, all right, let's go do some morning flight. And we do that, and we get to the morning flight spot, and it's clear right away, birds are moving, still moving. They're coming in off the water. They're dropping in out of the sky, like dozens of birds per minute passing by this spot heading north. And there's just 6 or so of us here. And I think we'd only been there 15 minutes. And we're just like, wow, this is good. Everyone's like, this is good. This is good. And all of a sudden start hearing this chipping from behind me. And Tom noticed it right away also. Like he was right on it. And and I kind of wheeled around, and I guess he was kind of like leaning around somebody's head to like try to get a look at this thing. And then we both just
Hold on a second. There was a head that was tall enough to be in front of Tom Johnson's.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but yeah.
He's a very tall guy.
He's about as tall as I get. Yeah. But yeah, he's like, so he like leans around, and I'm like, I turn around to look at this thing that's chipping. I'm thinking, that's not a palm warbler. Like, what is that? And all of a sudden we both just scream at the same time, Kirtland's warbler. And like, whoa. Yeah. And like Tom had a few choice words as well. He added some profanity to the mix, because the level of shock was just like, it just, our heads exploded. And then like, there was a few painful minutes there where we actually wonder if our exclamation scared the bird away. We like, because this thing is only like, I don't know, 15, 20 feet away when it landed and it's chipping. And then we yell at it and it takes off. And it like, everybody there that was there, like they, I think they saw us turn and pivot on it. So they were looking at it almost at the same time. And then we yelled it out. So all 6 or 7 of us there saw the bird at the same time, and then heard us yell out Kirtland's Warbler, and then the thing lifts off and starts heading north. And everything we're seeing this day is rocketing by, right? Like it's like a few things are dipping in briefly, but mostly stuff is just moving north and disappearing. We're like, oh man, we didn't get any photos. This thing is gone, you know? But then luckily it dropped into a little row of pines, and then it actually came, like we lost it in the pines for a while. Still no photos. And then it comes back south. I think I picked it up coming south. And, you know, we've talked about Kirtlands before. They're a big warbler, right? They're really hefty, fat things. And so they're actually quite distinctive compared to the other warblers that we're seeing. It was a big Cape May warbler day, a lot of parulas moving, a lot of palm warblers, the first, you know, big pushy yellow rumps. But this Kirtland's warbler sticks out as a bigger, fatter thing. And it plopped into the yard right next to us. And at that point, we finally fired off a few shots because this is the first state record for New Jersey. Long discussed.
I was surprised about that. I would gotta say that's surprising to me. But
no, there's a few. There's kind of a list of overdue expected birds, and Kirtland's Warbler is right up there with like tropical kingbird. That's like another one that hasn't been seen in the state of New Jersey. So we knew this was going to be a really big deal, you know. And the thing then moved off south, and we lost it. And at this point, I think by now Tom had actually texted out the alert to let everyone know, hey, we got a Kirtland's Warbler here. And then we got the shots. The thing moved off to our south, and we were like, gotta, you know, hope we see it again. Maybe it'll come back. We don't know. And wouldn't you know it, that Jim Dowdell, who's like I feel like he's like the songbird whisperer of Cape May. Like if there's like a little songbird, you know, squirreled away someplace, this guy's gonna find it. And he just kind of wandered down the beach and found this thing feeding around in the pines and or in the junipers, the red cedars as they call them there, and poison ivy, Virginia creeper, some bayberry, and it was just, you know, doing what they do. We've talked about it before, Al. They, you know, you've mentioned the structure of the habitat. They like this sandy soil, sort of scrubby stuff, and at times it would disappear for 40 minutes or so, 30 half hour or so, and then the next thing you know, it's right at your feet, and it's hopping around, and it's chipping, and it's so close you can't actually focus your camera down on it. And I think there's definitely over 100 people, might have been even over 200 people that day came to see that bird. But man, it was a thrill. It really was something else.
That's pretty wild. I mean, part of what's going on is the warbler is now so much more numerous than it was, 20 years ago, that there's a chance to actually find one out of, a vagrant, or maybe even the migration route is now denser, so that, maybe they went through there all the time. In a small number. Now there's enough of them that you could actually see one.
Right. Well, and this kind of gets to the crazy part of the second part of the story, right? Which is that, hours go by, people are trickling in. We're still there watching the morning flight. Like, I mean, we're thoroughly distracted by the Kirtlands, but it didn't really come back up to where we initially found it. It mostly stayed to our south in the beach scrub, in the maritime scrub there. But people are just filing by. The cars are packing in, and it was so much fun for seeing everybody and all these people I hadn't seen for a long time. And but then, like, Chris and I actually went back and did some stuff, and then I was like, I totally really didn't do good on the photos. Maybe let's go back in the afternoon and see if we can spend some more time with the bird, maybe get better views, and that was exactly what we did. We had to come right in. And while we were walking back, it was me and Kristen and Patrick Maurice from Georgia. He's working down there for the fall at Cape May. And we're walking back, and we ran into Tom again. Tom and Melissa were coming back to actually do exactly the same thing Kristen and I just done, just spend a little more time with the bird. And Patrick's like, Jesse Amesbury just found another Kirtland's warbler on Cape Island in the Garrett Preserve in Cape May. So, like, the first and second state records were found on the same day. Which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of birds that, I don't know if they have a solid population estimate now, because it's kind of
it's over 5,000 supposedly. So that's, at times the surveys were down below 200, I think in like the late 70s, maybe it was the 70s. I don't know if it was in the 80s, but they were below 200 individuals. Now they say and of course back then they might not have known where to look for some of these. There probably were more than that, I imagine. but now they say it's they think just over 5,000 total birds.
Yet I was thinking that in the past they probably had a better handle on the number than now, because now they're expanding to places where they're not even looking,
Yeah.
probably. So I know they're not just in Michigan anymore. And, even our friend, Peter Burke has established new habitat for them in Ontario. That's working. We got to talk about that one day.
Yes.
But, Wisconsin and, where else are they?
Wisconsin, they've been doing well for a little stretch here, and Peter and his group was successful in finally getting the first ones returning to breed there, right?
They're not breeding yet, but yeah.
Setting up shop. Yes.
Yeah. I don't think they've seen a female, but
yeah, advertising male.
Yeah. So it's you wonder how many more there could be, but it's a very rare bird and very unusual to see one out of its normal route.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Yeah.
If this becomes regular, if they're more common over the years. I don't know.
Yeah. In this case, there was some theory that, the remnants of Hurricane Ian are going through now and actually pelting rain against the window here. Hopefully that's not making too much noise in the recording. But some people were thinking, maybe that helped knock them down. Maybe they were on the move and they would have just sailed right on past were it not for this big low pressure system to the south. And there, that seems possible that there could be actually others all around right now if folks got out to the right spots and were able to find them. Interesting
you said
to know.
Cape Mays were out that day, right?
Yes,
that's
big
another
number.
Caribbean winter. So
Perulas as well.
Perulas.
Yeah.
How about black-throated blues? Were they around?
There were some. Yeah, there were some. Not, I wouldn't say big numbers, but a few. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That almost, gosh, if they doubled in population, maybe we could even get one on the Farallon Islands.
It's a matter of time, right?
Matter of time.
Yeah.
If everything showed up there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
there's golden-cheeked warbler there, right?
Yeah. I think there's only like just a handful of warblers from the U.S. list that have not been seen on the Farallons.
Yeah.
It'd be an interesting list, probably.
I still can't. The amount of effort that's been put into that little chunk of land, the diversity of species, and that it's so far ahead of any other hotspot in North America just still kind of blows my mind. But yeah, just to put a bow on the Kirtlands thing, one of the highlights of the day, was like after we've been soaking up this scene for a while, all these birders filing in, Kristen's meeting all sorts of people for the first time, and she's like, "This is so cool," And then she turns to me and she goes, "You've surrounded yourself with a really good group of people."
Huh.
And I was like,
she has not met me.
Yeah, but I thought I was like such an interesting commentary. It's true. It's a pretty good bunch of folks overall. Birders tend to be pretty thoughtful, interesting people. So
yeah, a lot of people who. Obviously, there's all sorts and, diversity that's huge. But on the whole, the average, the mean, the standard, it's of people who are, like you say, good, thoughtful, people you'd want to have as your neighbors. So good on you, birders. Keep on doing that.
Yeah, as long as you don't block their driveway.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's cool. What a day.
Yeah.
There's those days that you have every so often that you just they're marked for life in your head as like a special birding day, right?
Yes.
Like a historic. It's almost like in sports, when your team has a day that's just for the history books.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
No, it was special. The bird was special. The place is special. And, being there with Tom, who's a good bud, and meeting a whole bunch of other friends. It was just a special day. So yeah, it was awesome.
Hey, I'm sure that this is something you have done in the past, but it's worth asking. Have you ever discovered a new species for a state?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. How about the blue-footed booby? Was that
Yeah,
you?
that was one.
Actually, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually, a couple of folks have asked me. I've found one or two myself, or been a part of groups that found them several times. So yeah, and there's even been a couple. I don't know where you draw the line here. There's been a couple pelagic trips that I've been on. I didn't spot the bird, but where like the Cape Verde shearwater. I was right next to Brian Pattison when he spotted that thing, which was the first for North America, and I was right next to Michael O'Brien. I was literally sitting next to him when he spotted what ended up being the first Swinhoe storm petrel for North America. So those are cool, and yeah, some Western Alaska, vagrants that are not really that surprising. They're more just like people weren't getting to the spots as much back then.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had a hand in, like, I found one of the first really good birds I ever found was Townsend's Warbler in Virginia, which was the first state record, and that was a similar thrill to this Kirtland's. It really was.
Yeah, if you put in enough time, enough experience, enough, we do this full time, so things do happen eventually.
Yeah.
These unusual birds, vagrants. It's kind of amazing how much enjoyment there is out of finding a rare bird. And some people sort of say, well, what is it? Why not just go birding? And we just go birding a lot of the time. We just enjoy common birds, but the unusual, weird is always fun.
It's hard for them not to stick out as being different, because that's exactly what they are,
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand. Last time, Al, we were talking about another vagrant that showed up in the UK.
The UK.
The nighthawk there. And earlier you mentioned, I'd mentioned that we had a couple of whippoorwills fly over while we were doing nocturnal migrations birding. And there was one that just turned up by you, yeah?
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting thing. So the common nighthawk, which probably is a common nighthawk, but I don't think visually you can really eliminate Antillean nighthawk that we talked about. But in the past, if you were around when a lot of the ID stuff came out of Birding Magazine and British Birds, it often was some rarity vagrant record of some bird that would show up somewhere that people struggled to figure out what it was, and then they drilled in and figured out how to ID this from that and wrote a paper, on how to. And these events were like these trigger events for in a sense like birding research. And I think this is one of these cases. So here we had two young birders, Adrian Hinkle and Ethan Monk, who were birding out in Point Reyes area, and they find and photograph very well this whippoorwill flying around and then sitting, and really great photos. And the problem is it wasn't calling, and it's a female from what we can tell. So you can't separate the Eastern whippoorwill from the Mexican whippoorwill. So suddenly it's like, what is it? Because here you could have either, right? In California, they're both kind of possibles. And they sort of are like, well, I guess sort of we'll never know. And I suggested to them that, no, this is sort of a call to action. Like go check out, specimens and stuff. And I did a search of photos, and I found that if you look at photos of Mexican versus Eastern, often the Easterns are darker. They have more contrasting grayish scapulars, and the Mexicans have more of a rusty tone or warm tone. And Peter Pyle, who's somebody who spends a lot of time at collections. He'd photographed specimens back, back a couple of years ago when another one had shown up around here, another whippoorwill, and he suggested the same thing. There's like a warmth, and so now suddenly we have like these young birders who might tackle this. Maybe Peter might, go in and help them out, sort of how to look at specimens and sort all this out. But it seems like some of these things can be resolved if you put your time into it and really look in detail, and often use the resources of a museum collection. So we'll see if this is sort of like one of those old school rare bird shows up, and eventually we get a paper that tells us how to separate A from B, and it'd be really, really fun,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what it takes sometimes, cool. Right? Is a bird in a place where it's not supposed to be to further the identification process? Because how old is this split now? The split used to just be whippoorwill, and they split Eastern from Mexican whippoorwill. I want to say it was like 12 years ago or something like that.
Some maybe, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I think it was about that long ago. I'm not exactly sure, but people are kind of like, okay, yeah, it's no big deal. They don't overlap in range, so it's not, and they sound different, so it's not like you're not going to really struggle to separate them most of the time, unless one shows up way out of range where it's not supposed to be, and then you got to figure it out. So here we are.
Here we are, and if it had been a male, you can use the amount of white on the outer tail feathers to give you a pretty good handle. But it wasn't a male, wasn't an adult male. So, and you just have to try to figure it out. And I think it's possible. And who knows? Weirdly enough, we've had, like, my county has a historic record of a Chuckwill's widow.
Wow!
I mean, it's just these birds. They travel. Nightjars look like they're, kind of weak flyers, but they're not. They're amazing. They're kind of like rails, Rails,
yeah.
Rails will surprise you.
Yeah. A couple things I've heard cool about Chuckwill's widows. One was, and I've never heard this from anybody else, so I'd kind of like to hear it confirmed. But a guy I know who's used to do a lot of dry Tortugas trips told me about on the the boat ride out there, that he has twice seen Chuckwill's widows actually land on the water. This is out in the Gulf of Mexico. So, and the Tortugas is actually quite a good place to see Chuckwill's widows on a day roost, someplace there in Fort Jefferson. I've seen them a few times there, and it's totally weird because, just not good habitat at all. But then, this is a small island pretty much smack in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. They don't have a whole lot of options if they're trying to put down and rest someplace. But I know that, that this guy tells me he's twice seen them, he's been en route to the Galapagos or to the dry Tortugas and seen these things put down on the water, which is hard for me to believe. But if that's true, that's pretty darn amazing. The other thing was I remember and this is something I never hear about, but I feel like should happen way more often, is I remember Marshall Iliff telling me that he was leading a tour around here, Cape May, it was like Cape May Hawk Mountain swing, which is a popular one.
Yeah.
And in October, in Raptor month, in toilet tank repair month, October. And he said that he was at Brigg at the Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge, coast of sort of central Jersey, famous birding place. And they were just looking at birds and stuff, and all of a sudden he looks up and he's like, "What's this weird hawk?" And it was, I think he said it was 200-300, maybe higher, feet up in the air. I don't know. It was way up high. And he looked up and realized that it was a Chuckwill's widow, like soaring, basically.
Wow.
And and I'm like, I feel like that should happen more often, but
maybe it does. And if Marshall Iliff is not there, they're like, well, there's another Cooper's.
Yeah. Could be. Marshall's pretty darn sharp. So, but yeah, I mean, as you say, those birds, chucks and whips in particular, they move and they will surprise you in places. Good to be ready for them.
You know, a surprising thing that happened to me with a nightjar once was I was on where was I? Gosh, I was, maybe it was Ecuador. I don't know. I think it's Anthony's nightjar that's out there. That's like this west of the Andes
Choco
nightjar.
Thing? It's like a choco.
Yeah, but it's more. It's like in the more deserty kind of habitats, right? And I'm going along this trail, and this nightjar pops up, middle of the day, and I see this single egg down there. It's a nest. They don't make much of a nest. I'm like, oh my gosh, nest.
Scrape on the ground practically. Yeah.
Right. So I leave immediately and think, okay, so I'm going to go back through this area. I'm going to sneak up and just get a quick picture of the bird on the ground. I, gave it like a half an hour or 40 minutes to resettle. And then I come back and there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no egg, there's no bird, no nothing. And suddenly I was like, in the old days, like the old bent guides and these old timer early 1900s bird people who used to pay attention to local
natural
birds,
history, right?
Natural history, said exactly that. Nightjars can move their egg. They can actually grab the egg because their gape is so huge.
Yeah,
they can
huge
actually
mouths
put the
on
egg, huge mouth, get the egg in the mouth and actually fly to a new spot and actually physically move their nest. And the only birds known to do that. And some people did not believe this, of course. But to me, I was like, that must have been what happened because, you can say, oh, well, a predator came and got the egg. If that was the case, it would be shells, something, and it would have happened in the last half hour. Nothing, completely clean.
Yeah.
So I believe this is true. I'm not sure if it's like documented where somebody has seen it and filmed it happening, but I bet it is true and it makes complete sense.
I've had a similar experience, Alvaro. And it was in May. It was Marshall and I were, going all over the place birding, and we did like a World Series of birding thing, and we were scouting. It's funny because I don't think we were even on the same team, but he was a formidable foe on many of those for us, for our team, Zen Zug and Rui, and and he. But we found we were birding in Belle Plaine State Forest down there. And we found a whippoorwill nest, which was pretty cool. And the very next day, we left and went down to Maryland to join my father for one of his big days in Dorchester County, Maryland. But we had a couple days in between where we were knocking around, and we just went birding at the family farm, my dad's place, and we were birding the woods there, and we found a Chuck-bill's widow nest. We pushed a bird off an egg by accident. Just it wasn't that far off the road, and we're like, oh my god. And I was thinking, geez, this is back in the film days. This is like pre-digital, and I was like, I would die to get a good photo of a Chuck-bill's widow. And I snuck back with my camera so slow because I couldn't see the thing anywhere. And I was just like, I am not going to put this thing up. I'm going to sneak in. I'm going to get a photo, and then I'm going to back out just as slowly, leaving the bird exactly where it was. And it was gone. It was gone. The egg was gone. And this was 24 hours later. So it was a little bit more time than you had, but it was the same thing. And then I read in Alexander Bent's book that they will actually pick up the egg and move entirely. And so, I had a similar experience. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's like, no, and if you think about it, well, why don't other birds do this? Most other birds don't have a mouth big enough or any way to grab an egg to take it anywhere.
Yeah.
But nightjars can.
Yeah. Look at the gape on a Chuck-bill's widow next time you're looking at a photo, and just imagine that thing with its mouth open hunting moths and other big insects, and you can see how it might actually be able to do this. Or they're different birds, to be sure.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff. And one day we'll get to the one-word names, but there was
that was on the docket.
issue.
That was on the docket again today. I feel bad if I prattled too long about
but
the Jack Pine Warbler.
It does make you think, though, like in terms of one-word names, and I think we mentioned this before, is Chuck Will's widow, Whippoorwill, kind of a one-word name? Well, I guess now it's Eastern Whippoorwill. But if you hyphenate a name with multiple, is that a one-word name? I think it is. I would put it in there.
I would too. If it's hyphenated, I think you're solid, yeah. But the Whippoorwills wouldn't qualify, but the Chuck would.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the we have the names with the Okina as well, too.
That's what I was thinking. All those Hawaiian bird names, yeah.
And I think they qualify. So if, you're a Keke'e.
Yeah.
It is one word.
The Akila Pola'au.
Yeah.
The Ula Ai Hawani. The Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua'a. Oh no, that's the fish.
Yeah. Oh,
very, very
can you imagine yelling that out? Oh, yeah, isn't that like a booby? Oh,
yeah, or oh,
and there's the e-o. So it's like
really fun. Yeah, honestly, I wish we had more of such names. They're really fun. Yeah,
yeah. And what else do we have on the docket? We're going to run out of time, but
well, we'll save it. We'll save the good stuff for
there were some questions. There were some questions.
Yeah, we had some questions from folks too, so we gotta delve into those in the not too distant future.
Tomorrow I actually get on a plane.
I was going to say you're leaving soon. It's part of the reason we're doing this right
Chile.
now.
Yeah. Go to do my big full country tour of Chile. Interestingly enough, there's always amazing birds to see there that are regulars, but you can't help because you get the eBird alerts, and it's like you have not seen these certain species in the country of Chile, and you're like, ooh, I'm not as I'm very keen on the yard list and sort of some of these lists, but most of them I don't worry too much about. But I have a certain soft spot for the Chile list.
Of course.
And, having written a book back in the day on the birds. So it's funny. There are multiple species that are around now that I might see and add to the list, Yellow crown night heron actually is one of them. Whew.
Wow.
And then the tinamus in the south. There's a possibility for the old Patagonian tinamu.
Those don't exist.
A full lifer for me.
I was going to say, yeah, those don't exist as far as I'm concerned.
Don't exist.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I often go through this exercise and come back sometimes with a completely different, not on the menu bird. That was a new one. Or I don't see them at all.
Or maybe you'll exactly. You're going to come back with a new country first. We'll see.
Never know. So it'll be, is it, you just, after that many days of birding, and especially in good spots, there's a chance for you to find, and we have in the past, new country firsts or whatever. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've done the long trip, not the birds and wine, since the pandemic. Last time I was there was 2019 to do this trip. So some of these places I haven't seen for a few years, which used to be annual visits, and it'll be nice to see the same bus drivers, the same hotel staff who we've worked with for years and all that, and also what has changed. See if some of my favorite restaurants are still around. And, you know how it is. There's a whole community that kind of happens when you do a tour. And sometimes it's a very stable community of people, like the same owner or person who runs a hotel is there for years. They ask you about your family. They wonder how you fared through all the. It's an interesting
they'll
part
tell
of tour
tell
leading
you
that people
tell you
don't
about some of your favorite food or wine that you're looking forward to having. They'll be like, check out this. I got this. You gotta have this.
Yeah.
That's
And we're
awesome.
also trying some new spots too. We've there's some brand new, or not brand new, but relatively new hotels that cater more to the birding crowd, and we're trying to like incorporate them. So that's kind of cool. Also, just sort of dabble in some new places, and see if we can provide some surprises too. I've got some. I don't want to say anything on the air. See if there's any things I can add to this tour on the fly if the time allows.
I love the intrigue.
I know. See if we can do something different, but it's exciting. And I'm maybe you're like this too. I like the long flights. I like that I don't have. There's no email. There's no. I can sleep. I can watch a movie. I can get some work done on my own time, and then I sleep super well on planes.
I'm glad you do, Alvaro. I'm glad you do.
Oh,
yeah.
You don't, huh?
I can do it, but it's not my favorite part of the travel experience. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
But it is.
Have you ever had
very much worth
those lie down seats? Do you ever get upgraded? I've never paid for one, but I have been upgraded to those.
No, it would be a lifer. It would be a lifer. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to experience it because then I'm afraid that I couldn't forget how awesome it was, and I'd be just furious back in coach again.
Yeah. I do like. I mean, people often ask about travel advice, and one thing that I think is useful is international travel, long distance travel. Now they have that premium economy class, that is not business and it's not the back of the plane. And often it is priced reasonably enough that you can actually, it's not like business that's 2 or 3 times the regular price, which I can't, I'm cheap.
I can't rationalize that cost. Yeah.
Yeah. But that is, instead of 3 seats across, you get 2. So you have much more room and, it's a, better food often, but it's kind of a hybrid. I think it's a really good thing that the airlines have started doing that because they basically jacked up the prices so high on first class and business that only a few people can do that. Yet some of us travel enough that we don't want to, endure a coach flight I can, and I often I can get the exit row or something, a little more room, but yeah, and those prices go up and down. So you just look you can sometimes even book a day earlier to go to your trip and you can get a better price for that flight. And then the difference of spending one extra night in the hotel is less than, what it would have been to pay for that premium economy on the day you had expected to go. So highly recommended.
Yeah.
Tips from the pros.
Yeah. Well, I hope your flight down goes smooth, and I hope the tour goes even better. We're looking forward to hearing about it. And you get back from that, and then we got just a couple weeks before our Antarctic cruise with everybody. That's going to be a heck of an experience as well. We'll definitely plan to record a couple pods, I think, while we're undergoing that experience. So that'll be a fun thing for folks to look forward to down the road. Anything else, Alvaro, you want folks to know about before we sign off here?
Japan in February. It looks like Japan is opened up. We can do the trip. We would need, we have some interest now. So, but it's just sort of opened up. So if you're keen on going to see the cranes and the stellar seagulls and all that, and the seabirds with, alcids, and eat Japanese food every day, come on down.
It's a good one.
Let us know. Yeah.
It's a good one. The cranes and the eagles
Love
are
Japan.
pretty breathtaking, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Notice
awesome.
I didn't mention the gulls. I didn't want to scare away people, but some good gulling there too.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. First cycle slatybacks make your head spin, but pretty cool. Nice.
How about you, George?
Yeah,
What do you
well,
got
getting
going
ready.
on?
Yeah, getting ready to spend some time just birding around here, really, until I'm doing the heading down to the tip of the Delmarva Peninsula next week. Be doing that, and yeah. Otherwise, encourage folks to check out our Life List website and check out the event that Molly and I are doing down with friends in Columbia. There's still space on that. It's picking up steam nicely. So looking forward to that in February. And yeah, it should be great. So folks should definitely take a look at that. I have one or two other trips that are that are goes where there's a couple more spots left. So if you want to know about those, just let me know. You can reach me at info@hillstarnature.com. But I think we will leave it at that for the time being. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Alvaro, good chatting to you as always. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody.
Cheers.